In the last episode, in the last book episode, I was listening to it, I somehow managed to say drawing and restraint right next to each other.
Wow.
Yeah, like coincidentally.
And the 9th time you do that on the podcast, you have to have some sort of Easter egg. Like
Yes,
we put the entirety of Drawing Restraint 9 in the middle of the book. In 1996, Scholastic began publishing Animorphs. Over the next 6 years, Catherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, under the pseudonym K.A. Applegate, produced 54 main series books, several spin-offs, and inspired a TV series, graphic novels, and a cult following. We can't tell you where we live. We can't even tell you our last names. But we can tell you our thoughts and feelings on this series, book by book. I'm Miranda.
I'm Eddie.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Anidorks.
These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Jake's dad is excited because there's a...
Oh my God, I missed this. I'm so excited.
There's a boxing? Is it boxing or wrestling?
It sounds like it's
I think
boxing.
it's boxing.
Yes, on pay-per-view.
Yeah, if the fight has rounds, it's probably boxing.
And someone's getting knocked out,
Back then, it wasn't going to be MMA.
Yeah.
$40 for a pay-per-view in the late 90s. Does that
$90.
sound right?
That's like
That sounds like
that's
way
like a
too much money.
$70 affair. Yeah.
He tells Jake, corn chips, bean dip, loud grunting male noises, beer for me, soda for you and Tom. He's very excited about this. It seems to be like a male bonding thing
Well, and this is a part, like his dad is realizing that he's not teaching the binary, that he's not teaching manliness, and that he's having.
That's right. We perform too much femininity in this house.
Yes,
absolutely. Well, and I think it's that what he's noticing is every time he's guessed that his children are, usually when his children are acting weird, one of which is Tom, Jake's older brother, who is yerked. He's like, I thought Tom was into the ladies, but he just keeps going to the sharing, and he never seems to. I think this is like a Homer's phobia thing. I think the dad's probably like Homer's phobia is a Simpsons
I'd
episode.
put that together.
I think it's actually not the first time you've mentioned the episode on the podcast.
It's a solid app. It's not aged well, but it's
I think
great.
you spin a wheel before we start recording, and you're like, how can I work this episode into the content tonight?
I wish it were that deliberate. You know what's really funny about that joke is when we were little and we would walk around in middle school at Animorphs age, Zach Moser would every time I would make a joke, he would be like, he would then start pantomiming me writing in my journal the last night, writing the joke down to tell everybody.
People used to do this. If you were witty and you were quick, we weren't always well understood. We were used to performing for a much older audience than our parents.
We didn't think that all the children we knew would be as stupid as them.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm not an elitist. Moving on. So we have them performing their
these male bonding rituals.
We're going to watch this boxing match on pay-per-view. It's the championship fight. I'm told these are exciting words.
Yeah. But who does Jake's dad have coming over? Pete and Dominic.
Yes.
Dominic. Good old Petey and Dom.
One of them probably married to Charisse, right? I think.
Ooh.
Oh, you don't think they're a couple?
Oh, yeah, didn't even cross my mind. But they certainly are a couple.
Wow, that's not very progressive of you.
I just assumed.
They're work friends. Do we know what
They're work
Jake's dad
friends,
does?
in quotes.
It's true. They're from the club.
Yeah.
They're sisters.
The boys club.
I know them from the bathhouse.
Yeah.
The bathhouse.
Which is probably that board of that motel, actually. Do you think
oh my
either
God.
Pete or Dominic are yerked? No, because Tom's leaving.
Yeah, they wouldn't have agreed to come over tonight, I think,
I need
if they
more
could have gotten
information.
out of it.
Did you think Eileen, the minor human?
We speculated that
she
was
wouldn't
Visser
have-
3.
Oh, that's true. We should, I don't think she would have volunteered dolphins for touching if she knew there were Andalite bandits on the loose.
You fool! Don't let them touch the dolphins!
You mean they came just to touch the dolphins?
And you didn't make note of that?
How many of them were there? You don't know.
No, she would know because they each had a friend. Oh, that was the dolphins that were named after Friends characters.
Named after the friends. Yeah, it's like, how many of them were there? 5. Monica, Joey, Ross, Chandler.
I believe their names were...
And Joey again.
And no, we will not support Phoebe Erasure in this house. I don't know much about
I
Friends.
couldn't remember her. She's the best one.
Fortunately, my dad and his work friends made plenty of noise, so no one noticed Tom checking his watch.
Which is a very noisy activity.
Also, the mom tries to come in and like offer them healthy snacks, and he's like, I will be friendly only to women who have bought me chips.
Yes.
And she's like, I bought you chips, and he's like, I love you.
She tries to pitch carrot
It's an
sticks and
uncomfortable
hummus.
dynamic. Yeah, it's...
Fight starts at 7. Until then, we will allow females.
Yeah.
He sounds like Axe.
He sounds like Andrew fucking Tate.
Yeah.
Who's that? I don't know who that is.
I'm so happy for you that you don't know who Andrew Tate is.
Oh, we forgot to say, this whole boxing thing is a problem for Jake because
It's going to make him late.
it's going to make him...
Well, he doesn't know that. It starts at 7, and as he says, the last championship fight was only like 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And it was an easy knockout. So as long as one person is the dominant in this situation, it'll be over quickly.
Yeah.
Right. Who's the Dominic and who's the Pete?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Yes.
The match does go quickly.
Not as quickly as he'd hoped.
No.
And he does have time to have lots of angsty feelings about whether or not his brother's in there watching the fight and getting to enjoy it at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then Dominic tries to wager on the fight at the end, and boom, the fight's over. And he's like, because he was like, I couldn't skip this. My dad, it's been building up to this forever. I had no way to come up with an excuse to skip this. So now he can finally leave, and it is now 7:45, the time that he said he'd be there.
Yeah, he's already
So he has
late.
to go rushing out, and Tom's sort of like sneaking out.
I just want to touch upon this. It just because in one of the earlier books, they updated the VCR to a DVR, but he snatches the tape out of the VCR and says, Dad, can I take this over to Marcos and show him right now?
Yeah, that's his excuse to leave at 7:45 on a school night.
But if that had been a DVR, good luck doing
That's
that.
right. Yeah, the guy who updated the first 5 books must have never read the rest of them because he would have realized that tape is an important plot point.
It is.
Jake's imagining saying directly to Tom, hey, Tom, what's the big secret with the grocery store? And he kind of laughs at his own joke. And then he has another third flash?
Third flash.
Yes, this is the third flash. Miranda, take it away.
Flash. Green. Green. Everything was green. It was the greenest place on earth. Trees, moss, vines, ferns, green everywhere. Marco was there. And the others. Just the others. They were all there. Marco was talking. In a jungle fighting brain-stealing aliens and 10,000 annoying species of bugs, and our resident space cadet is a hot-looking monkey. Somebody wake me up when we get back to reality. Flash.
Flash! Oh, there goes gravity. Don't...
And then Jake's back watching the match with his dad and Tom.
And Tom's teasing him in a very, I guess, normal Tom teasing him way, but he's like, I know it's not Tom, and I know that he can just perfectly replicate how Tom would behave because he can read his memories and makes me fucking sick. I hate my brother.
And then Tom backs out of the room, which I think had to look suspicious.
He's like, yes, arms up. Just like,
Bye.
bye-bye, Papa.
Off to the sharing.
Oh my God, I really wish that they would say like some catchphrase like, remember, sharing is caring. Like I wish that they had that on the marketing materials for the sharing.
So Jake rushes to go to meet everyone. It takes him 25 minutes to morph and fly to the empty motel. So he's very late, right? Like a half hour late?
Yeah. Just about, yeah.
And he says, I know, I'm late. He apologizes as he comes in for a landing. He misjudges the distance to the ground, hits it too hard, and rolls over a tangle of wings and talons. And it's a small moment, but it does come up later.
Yes.
They're looking for Jake's go-ahead. Rachel asks, well, and Jake feels this strange reluctance.
Certain reluctance. Sorry, that's a reference specifically to the concert version of Sweeney Todd with George Strait and Patti LuPone.
Patti LuPone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, it's the judge. So strange. When I offered myself to her, she showed a certain reluctance.
So Jake says, he felt, I can't say it now. He felt a strange reluctance. And he says, I don't even know what I felt. Just at that moment, that very moment was terribly important. The others are all staring at him. All he has to do is say, let's go. But instead he's looking at his watch and he keeps thinking 8:19, like it meant something, and then he cuts himself.
He's like, oh boy, I certainly shouldn't follow my gut on this. Oh, that would make them think I look weak, and they can't think I look weak. Let's go, guys. And Cassie has already told them at this point that they're going to morph flies.
Yeah, you got to picture it, though. They're standing by that abandoned hotel, and there's a bunch of hobos singing. I know.
And they're like, no one will believe them. And Jake's like, just push them in front of another Hork-Bajir. It'll be fine.
I've done this before.
Yeah. So we're face down in the dirt.
Yeah, they're
turning into flies.
Miranda skipped ahead. They're morphing into flies, and they're getting down and dirty.
We knew what was going on. Face down in the dirt.
Just a little dirt nap. Yeah, so we get a really zany description of the fly morph. Eyes popping out, compound eyes look like looking at security monitors, tons of TV sets, and that's really trippy.
There's a really great line about how colors look with the compound eyes. He says it looks, quote, like some disturbed kid got loose with a Crayola box and colored in everything with different colors.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. Disturbed. Yeah, I know. Disturbed is such
I'm depraved on account I'm deprived.
Exactly.
Okay, they're morphing into flies.
And it's disturbing.
It's disturbing. It's fairly disturbing.
Jake has an all fours moment. His legs collapse.
He's face down in the dirt.
I
don't know what you want from me.
So then they're gonna fly across the busy.
It starts raining
road, and it's probably 4 lanes. It sounds like it's 4 lanes.
They say multiple times that it's 4 lanes.
What I'm getting, what I'm picking up is that it's 4 lanes.
I'm here at 4 lanes. I'm just gonna run with it. Anyway, they start flying across the street, and honestly, it's not going super well. They really struggle with this. Jake is not flying high enough to weather, if you will, the rainstorm that picks up as they're crossing the street. This is about as big a disaster as it could be.
Yeah.
Apparently, when you get hit by a drop of rain as a fly in the Animorph series, it's like a little 3-dimensional teardrop swimming pool.
Yeah.
And you have to swim your way out of it and then jump out of it. It feels like Ori in the Blind Forest.
But Jake gets caught in a downdraft toward a car and then manages to ride it just over the top of the windshield, so he doesn't fucking die.
Yeah, if it had been a Jeep, he'd be dead. Luckily, this is a Corolla with a nice soft slope that's good for pedestrians if you ever choose to hit them.
Oh, we missed a flash here, too.
Go over the car, kids, not under.
Are we at the top of Chapter 7?
825, Chapter 7. You're totally right. Flash. The jungle, sudden movement in the deep bush, a cocked arm, a human arm belonging to a kid, a spear flew. I saw it coming for me, saw the bamboo point, blackened with deadly poison. Quite an assumption. One scratch and I was dead. I flash.
Also, important, second use of cocked.
I agree. It's loud. It's loud.
Yeah.
It might be
masculine energy in this one.
Galumph was going for verb of the book for me, but cocked coming up twice.
Yeah.
Well, and in a couple chapters, In a couple chapters, they're going to talk about how they handle a joystick, and they say the word joystick like 8 times in rapid succession, and it's a little weird.
Guys, my cat's getting settled in the shark. We got to keep going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the cat is in the shark. Holy shit.
Y'all, I hate to derail again. But we were just talking about cocked, and within like 6 lines, we get the fact that something beats the air at hundreds of strokes per second.
Nobody should do that. Nobody. That's too
Actually, if you're trying to figure out how to start a fire on Survivor.
Yeah.
Is 100 strokes per second enough? You take your hardwood and
I think we know
roughly 100 strokes per second.
It was Jake's last book that the cockroach in the bedroom where he closed the door and closed the shades. Like, they know what they're doing. Like, I think they get to the safe way. Yeah. I always feel like these moments in this are like when challenges come on Survivor, where I start to drift and
Zone
I come
out.
out.
Yeah, definitely.
But you two always catch things in them where I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that did happen there. So.
I mean, I'll be honest. This one is like they get in there, they notice how many other flies are in the Safeway. They're like, okay, like we chose the right morph for this, and then they just buzz around and get information for a while. I mean, Cassie goes and spies on Chapman. Like
they hear Chapman's voice. Yeah.
She lands right on his head.
She lands on the bald spot. She says, and they're like, he might swat you, and she's like, bitch, try me. Like,
so this is where we get Cassie passing information back to the rest of the group. It's a bug fighter. It's something new, an experimental bug fighter, faster, more weapons, maybe a prototype bug fighter. That's what they're hiding. That's what crashed into this place.
And they're trying to clean it up and get it ready to go and like send it back off and get it out of here. And she overhears that they're saying to Chapman that it's only going to take like 3 hours to fix it, 3 more hours to run the final tests and fix it. And Chapman says, good, because if it's 3 hours and 1 minute, I'll personally feed you to Visser 3 for a snack.
Yes. So
not even a meal.
Visser 3 is putting like the fear of God in them. Like he's saying, I want this done quickly.
He is calling them a snack.
Yeah.
Tasty little snack.
Yeah. And I kind of like the image. Like, I feel like it's almost like someone holding the Go-Gurt for you. Like, that's how I imagine Chapman.
I thought you were going to say something like more classic.
About?
Like, I thought you were going to say like reclining on a chaise lounge and someo's feeding you.
Feeding
that's what you mean by holding the Go-Gurt for you is feeding
he just says,
you?
I feel like there's like... With
holding the Go-Gurt?
I think it's like the slurping. I'm imagining
holding the Go-Gurt is the title of whatever episode this is. Like, hold my Go-Gurt. Hold my Go-Gurt, girl.
You've really formed a close relationship with someone when they're willing to hold the Go-Gurt for it. Moving the yogurt up the Go-Gurt.
Hold my Go-Gurt.
I can't handle it.
It's what I imagined when I imagined Chapman.
You shouldn't have imagined it. No, I'm just...
Shameful, Eddie. Shameful.
Chris and I are seeing Hedonism Bot from Futurama, and Eddie is seeing some sort of childhood fantasy of his crush holding his Go-Gurt for him.
Yeah, and just
slowly pressing it out.
Honestly, that's really, really, really gross. I would try it. But I would try it. Like, if someone was like, this will be kind of weird, but you might like it, I'd be like, yeah, what the hell? I got only one trip per episode. Let's go. Yeah.
My yum is Go-Gurt.
Yeah, I can't fault that. I don't think you want it to be frozen though, because then you have to chew it.
That's true, but if it's not frozen at all, then it just like you have to have your mouth on it the whole time.
Yeah,
and I think that's what makes it so intimate. It's.
I swear, this actually wasn't something that I like tried to do with someone before. It just came to my mind when I was reading this. So when you read the phrase, I'll personally feed you to Visser 3 for a snack, that's not the image you get in your head.
No, I told you it's hedonism vibe.
Yes. Yep. They decide that they want to steal the bug fighter. I think it comes up first as a joke. So Rachel says, what should we do? In 3 hours, they could fly this thing out of here. Cassie says, if only we could get some TV news people here, which is Rachel's dad, actually.
Yeah.
If people could see this thing.
And in tonight's weather report, I'd like to point out that it's raining bug fighters from the sky.
But apparently the Yeerks have a lot of people at the TV stations and newspapers, and they don't actually know this. They've just heard it hinted at. I don't think they've done any recon on it, but it's a good point.
No, we heard it in Megamorphs and that's it.
So Rachel goes, you know what we could do, though? What we could do is steal this thing. And Jake jokes about stealing it and flying it to Washington and landing it on the White House lawn. And then Rachel says, hey, that could work.
And then Tobias asks, hey, Axe, can you fly that? And Axe is like, I'm a fucking Andalite.
I can fly your mom. No, I'm just kidding.
My riding skill is A+. I can fly any modern vehicle and then some. Let's go.
So we're doing it, guys. We're gonna steal a fucking bug fighter from the middle of the grocery store. Let's go.
They say they want to plan more, but then they just go and do something.
They do this shit.
They do this instead. Yeah, it's really bad. This is by far, this really is the one that's going to get them killed.
These kids don't care when they go to space at all. This will be their second time. Yeah. But they didn't care the first time. I guess they had a lot going on.
Probably about to die the first time.
Yeah.
For some reason, they decide to go through with this, and Tobias is going to run distraction. He's going to fly through this little hole in the roof that he had found.
Such a bad idea.
That was letting him see through. That roof with 6 or 7 armed people on it. And so he's going to fly down through that and then, make a stir while the flies fly into the bug fighter. And that's going to get the people out of the bug fighter to come try to kill him.
He's supposed to make his escape and just go hide and do something else.
He's supposed to go out the hole he came in, as we all are. Remember, again, those armed guards?
Yeah.
They start shooting at him from the outside of the hole. And he's also being shot at from the inside of the hole.
Yeah.
He's taking it in both holes.
Now, is that one hole or two? If it's just...
How many holes are in a straw?
How many holes are in a straw? All right.
So, Tobias is getting shot at because they all know that there's a red-tailed hawk that's an Andalite bandit.
Right.
They put Tobias through a lot in this book.
They do, but Tobias wants to be a part of this. He volunteers repeatedly.
He gets his tail feathers clipped. He's going to get even more damaged later.
And he can't get out. He can't get out of this place. And so they call in an audible and they thought speak to him saying, just get on the bug fighter.
Yeah, just come in here with us.
You didn't hear it, but I said calls an inaudible.
I don't know what that means.
In football, if you change your play right before the play starts, it's called an audible. You just say to your players, we're going to do blue 42, and that's an audible.
Okay.
But so now people use the phrase to say, we're making it up on the fly, if you will.
Okay,
so let's move on.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's our sports
calling
moment.
an audible. Yeah, there you go.
Chris's sports corner.
I'll tell you the one thing I know about each sport.
So, Axe, get us out of here. They're going to take off.
Axe is demorphing from fly to Andalite. It's horrifying. Chris's lights are turning off. It's a scene you wouldn't believe.
Is there a window here? Can they see in the controllers?
I don't think so. I think there was an open door.
Yes.
And now the door is shut.
They use Ramonite, don't they?
Yeah.
So
it's something like that because they say when it closes, it just reseals.
Yes.
It's not like
I think
door.
It's a
just
Ramonite construction.
Yeah.
So Axe was very confident about the controls, but he's less confident once they're actually in his hands. He has some trouble getting it going.
Happens to everybody.
Well, with an audience.
They go right through the plastic sheeting that I'm guessing they've covered the hole with. Is that right?
Yeah, this giant tarp.
Yeah.
And he asks how hard plastic is, and he's like, it'll be fine. We'll just do it. So they rip out through the thing and up into the sky, and they're flying away.
For all intents and purposes, they are heading to DC. That's what they feel they are doing.
So they're getting their bearings. And what really blows my mind is in a truly patriotic display, they get picked up within minutes. By two F-16 fighter jets.
Yep.
I thought they're going to get shot down. I thought this before the moment they came up with the plan. It was
it turns out they don't have the cloaking device on.
Right.
And they don't know how to get it on.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Now, we did miss the scenes we were talking about.
We have to talk about this. Yeah. So Axe does say, he's like, I don't need help. But if I did need help, it would be manning the weapon station. The Taxxons have more arms than... This is amazing, actually. He says, unfortunately, those controls are designed for Taxxons. They have more hands than I like, which lends credence to our theory that Axe has something against hands themselves.
Yes,
And it's
more
like,
hands
no,
than I like.
Yeah.
No, less hands for you. Less hands for you. I take it off with my tail. So then now we have the debate about who's going to man the weapons. And this is when we this is when we get Marco reminding Jake that, wait, you're going to man the weapons, but I'm the one who's better at video games. And then Jake's like, fuck you, I don't care. Gets in there and Marco's like, he's like, grab the... Marco suggests that he grab the joystick. As strange as it seems, there actually was a joystick. It was much bigger. It was for much bigger hands than mine. Oh, right, because this station is for a Hork-Bajir. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I missed that detail.
He does mention ones that are manned by Taxxons, but the specific one that Jake has found is the weapons, which is traditionally run by Hork-Bajir, which he is thankful for because he gets to sit, because Taxxons don't have chairs.
Mm-hmm. They don't have asses. What we do get, though, is a warning shot fired across the bow. Yeah, we get a siu-siu, just them practicing shooting. It's Chekhov's Draken beams.
The shooting practice was really interesting because Axe tells him how to fire it, and then it doesn't work. And he's like, oh, you just turned the safety off. If you hit it again, it'll fire. And then he does. And I'm like, what is the point? Is it just to encourage children to know that guns should have a safety?
Yeah, that's a weird detail. It's like, why would a ship have a safety on its weapons? Yeah, that's very bizarre.
Oh, and Marco does a Captain Picard impression.
Oh, is that what does he say? Most splendid?
Yeah, after he says, arm photon torpedoes. If the Borg want to fight, we'll give them one. Make it so.
Yes.
Yes, most splendid.
Yeah, that one's a little less in character.
Patrick Stewart never said that.
Oh, okay. I was like, this has to be a reference to something. But...
No, that one's not. The first part is phasers on full power, arm photon torpedoes, the Borg, make it so. Yeah. Those are all direct references to things that are said. And done.
The two fighter jets fly up to our ship in the air. And they tap the radio. Do you want to read this, Ed? Go for it.
Yeah, so Axe says I can access the radio signals. A second later, we heard the voice of one of the pilots. Base control, bogey is of an unknown type. Say again, unknown type. Definitely unknown.
Definitely unknown. Way unknown, bro.
It's Matthew McConaughey in the other one.
All right, okay, oh, sure. Whatever he says.
So they...
all right.
They lose them. They lose them pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, so Axe figures out... This part's really funny because they're actually in trouble for a second where they're about to be attacked by these F1 fighter jets, and then Axe is like, no, I won't embarrass us by getting us killed by human technology. I'll fly better. And then they take off in a bolt, right? They just swoosh up into space.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, Axe, you should really focus because Washington, D.C. isn't that far away. We should be figuring out.
And they see the Red Sea.
We should probably turn around if we see the Red Sea. And Axe just says, no, we can't, you guys.
That's true.
Oh, and importantly, Cassie says, look at that. You can see daylight coming up over the Red Sea. Did we hit that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Axe is like, under no circumstances can we slow down. Look at this chart I made. And the chart is a little picture he drew of the Blade ship. And it's right behind them. It was presumably on the radar or something. But anyway, they're being chased by Visser 3 himself.
Yeah, the Blade ship. I got confused because you said Axe had drawn a picture, and I was like, where's Axe pointed at one of the view screens before him. On the screen, I saw stars.
But this is why we can't do this after 10 o'clock, because it's my brain just turns to mush.
That's fair.
It's not 10 o'clock. It's 8:54 p.m., chapter 10.
So...
Okay.
Red Sea, Dawn. Red Sea, it's GMT -2.
Okay, so it's 7 hours ahead, you're saying?
So right now, in the Red Sea area of Egypt, it is 5:06 a.m. And right now, in the Western United States, it is 7:06 p.m.
Yes.
That almost
so they're doing
lines
this
up.
for new. Yeah.
This would almost line up more with mountain time, I think, if the sun's coming up in the Red Sea or over the Red Sea while it's almost 9 o'clock. That would be Mountain or Central time. So they're coming at me with these. The times aren't quite lining up.
Well, if they're Pacific Northwest, that would put it at 7 o'clock.
And the sun can go down at that time sometimes.
Or wait, isn't it rising?
So where they are, it's dark. It's after 8:30. In the Red Sea, if it's 8:30, it should be 6:30 a.m.
And presumably, so that is this right? This
so
is how I
imagine.
imagine.
Works.
They're passing the Pacific Ocean.
I think they're in the Western United States, but if they're in the Red Sea, I would have thought they'd gone the other way.
Are they in it?
And then they
can
crash in the.
They can just see it.
They crash in South America, though. So
yeah. So I think that they just went up.
Yeah, just up high enough to see the Red Sea.
Got it. Okay.
But I'm just using what time it is at the Red Sea and what time it is for the Animorphs.
Right, to try and I think that this is a strong case for West Coast.
Yeah, I think West Coast keeps up. Maybe Mountain Time. So maybe Nevada.
Nice.
Something like that.
East of the Rockies line, west of the Rockies line. Been listening.
All right,
but when they're saying that, it's because they're facing west and they need to go east to get to.
Well, if they're facing the sun coming up.
I don't think you'd see the Red Sea facing that direction. Can one of our moms buy us a globe?
But you imagine they're going straight up, basically.
Yeah. We're going to check the globe. And we'll get back to you.
If you go high enough, you could see the Red Sea, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I'm having trouble visualizing it, but
I think you'd see it to the east.
Yeah, you'd see it to the east because that's where the sun's coming up.
Yeah, if it's 9 hours ahead or 7 hours ahead or whatever, if it's 9 hours ahead, that's still less of the globe. If you assume there's 24 hours to a globe,
it's less than half of it, so it could be
so you would
seeable.
see it coming from that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what you'd be able to see, actually, because presumably, I don't know how that works. Because if you go up on a sphere, if you have a sphere and it's over here, you can only see half of it. You can't see around the great circle that is whatever, the meridian.
Yeah, it's not even quite half of it that you can actually really see. It's like where it spheres off. You know what I mean?
Right. There's a limit that is pretty easy to figure out, and it should actually be figure outable in hours, but you'd have to know exactly where they are. And they're moving so fast.
And I'm not convinced they spend that much time figuring out this.
Right. For example, the ISS goes around the Earth every 90 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
So, that's a lot of travel. If they're traveling at space speeds, if they're traveling at we could be in orbit speeds, then maybe they just zipped. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to derail us so much. I wanted to.
So they're getting chased by Visser 3 in the Blade ship, and they have to make another crack decision because they know that they can't outfight them. Mm-hmm. They know that they can't outrun them, but they have to try one of those two options. So they can either try and fly away with the ship, or they can turn around and try and outdo the Blade ship.
And as Axe says, hope for a lucky shot.
Yeah. Well, I feel like for the stuff we talked about with Jake, so Axe is looking at Jake when he says that.
Yeah, he's putting up this big decision, and he's the one who knows how to fly the ship, and he's turning to Jake and saying, "You make the choice."
Yeah, yeah. And Jake's hand is trembling on the joystick. Which I can't say with a straight face now.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed you tried to say it.
And he says, I'm feeling lucky.
Yeah. It was an absolute lie, of course. I didn't even feel slightly lucky, but it sounded good. What's Marco doing? He's giving his sardonic smile.
That's true. It's the return.
And they give it a shot. They whip the ship around and they go straight for him and they fire an unbelievably accurate shot. Axe calls the shot. He's like, not yet, now. And they fire, and he squeezes the trigger.
That's what you do with
triggers. And happens to shoot at the exact same time that the Blade ship fired. And the two Draken beams hit each other. And the blowback causes both ships to go into a death spiral. And they're maydaying out as they fall down and down and down and down into who knows where.
There's a lot of screaming. Yeah. There's a lot
left in this chapter.
I thought you were trying to end there, and I was like, don't know if you can.
No, I wasn't. I just wanted one of you to start.
And they're all falling, and while they're falling and looking, And they're screaming, we're going down, we're going down. And they see that the blade ship's also going down. Cassie notices that they seem to be falling into, well, she's not quite sure where they are, but she knows it's the Western Hemisphere. And she knows she just saw dawn in the Middle East, and now she's in daylight in the Western Hemisphere, which she feels should not be possible.
So the time glitch has already happened. We're back in time right now.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, when the gravitons and the graviolis.
Of course. It all makes so much sense now.
Cassie remarkably calm under pressure. Her ship is going down, and she's going, wait. I don't think that's what I'd be capable of doing.
Yeah, that's true. And then Axe decides to start an impact countdown, which I'll be honest, I'd rather be surprised.
Yeah.
Or maybe you should do it off by 1 second, like they do when you're getting a wax or something, and they're like 3, 2, psh. And you're like, and they were like, but you didn't tense up. It was better that way, wasn't it?
I wish you hadn't said that to me.
Why?
What if I go get a wax someday?
Yeah, he's trying to slow their descent too, but he doesn't think it'll be enough. And so while this is happening, Jake experiences another flash. He's no longer in a bug fighter. He's square dancing. He's giving Rachel a resentful look as he bows to her in time with the music. And then he flashes back. Axe is still counting. Jake sees green on green rushing up at me. And then they hit. And he says, for a while, he doesn't see anything at all.
Are they backwards?
The flashes are backwards? So you're saying they came around like a U? Well, presumably...
Because look, he's arriving in the Amazon at the end of his time. Well, no, this is the beginning of his time. Fuck, this one is the only one that lines up. This one lines up.
This one lines up.
Fuck, my brain.
That's, no, but I mean, in Primer... The way that they used to get forward and backward in time was they got in a machine that traveled at 1 second per second, I think actually in the wrong direction.
1 second per second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like not fast forwarded, like regular time.
So just staying put.
I'm traveling through time right now.
If I'm moving backwards at 1 second per second, I'm staying put.
No. If you move backwards in time at 1 second per second, if you're describing it as backwards in time, it would have to be 2 seconds. I see what you're saying. But that's semantics. It's don't get hung up on that. If you're traveling backwards in time at 1 second per second, no. You're assuming that traveling forwards in time is a given, and that's an unsafe assumption.
But what is a second at 1 second per second?
What we're doing right now.
What are you measuring it against?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So, I mean, I think I get it, but you're confusing me, and I need to go.
If 1 second of time that I experience moves me backward in time, 1 second, I'll be this me from a second ago.
But if you're moving
I'll have
backwards
stayed in place because it took me a second to get to a second ago.
Yeah, in Primer, it made sense, though, because what happens in Primer is like the time machine turns the car around and then points time backwards and they go backwards in time. Okay. But if you wanted to go 3 days in time back in Primer, you'd actually like age backwards through it and you aged forward the whole time or whatever. But I don't think that because the end is at the beginning, there's a U-turn.
No, and I did realize my logic was flawed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I've never thought? But in Primer, it made sense. That's not how I experienced
I've never seen Primer, so...
I can't believe that. I feel like I had to watch it. I feel like I was forced to watch it at some point.
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon.